With the NBA playoffs officially underway, or some series even finished, I think it's a good time to rank the best player on every single NBA team solely based on how they played this regular season. Please do keep in mind that the rankings only take into account of the games that they played this season and not the ones that they missed. The player on each team will be the team that they finished the season with. For example, Nikola Jokic will not be there for the Magic spot because he finished the season off with Bulls due to a trade that occurred midway throughout the season. With all that being said, let's begin. First off, we have the decent NBA players. At number 30, we have Terrence Ross. Ross this season played for the Orlando Magic and averaged 15.6 points on 41% from the field and 33% from 3. He also averaged 3.4 rebounds along with 2.3 assists. The numbers aren't eye-popping, and that's the reason he's ranked dead last on my list. At number 29, we have Jerami Grant of the Detroit Pistons. Grant this season averaged 22.3 points a game, 4.6 rebounds, and 2.8 assists on decent efficiency. Again, he's not a player that's eye-popping. He was a candidate for Most Improved Player until Julius Randle just took over that race, and that's why the Detroit Pistons have been bad this season because the best player on their team is barely averaging any rebounds or assists. Yes, 22 points a game is decent, but he needs to be more of a playmaker and a rebounder, especially with his height. At number 28, we have Pascal Siakam of the Toronto Raptors. After getting off to a slow start to the season, Siakam picked up the pace and regulated his averages, but with extremely low efficiency. For the season, Siakam is averaging 21.4 points per game on 45% from the field and 29% shooting from 3. 29%. For reference, the league average is 35% from 3, and Siakam is 6% below that. He's also averaging 7.2 rebounds and 4.5 assists. At number 27, we have Terry Rozier of the Charlotte Hornets. Rozier this season is averaging 20.4 points per game on nearly 40% shooting from 3. Now, this was a close one with Gordon Hayward and Rozier both averaging similar numbers, but I had to go with Rozier here due to his ability to close out games by hitting clutch shots. He was a huge reason that the Hornets made it to the play-in tournament this year, although they ended up losing. LaMelo Ball is pretty good as well, but after all, his season averages and efficiency are not as good as Rozier's. Number 26 on our list is John Wall. If this was any other season before the 2018 NBA season, Wall would be ranked much higher. But due to many injuries, the Achilles one being the most severe of course, Wall's career seems to be declining from now on. Although he's only 30, many NBA teams just don't want to take a chance on an injury-prone player, especially a point guard. Wall has said that he's in the best shape of his career on multiple occasions, and it actually does seem like it at moments when you watch the Rockets games. But the NBA nowadays requires three-point shooting, which he hasn't developed much throughout the career. For the season, Wall is averaging 20 points and 7 assists on really bad shooting splits. Hopefully, he can get to a better and more secure team where he can solidify a championship as a veteran leader and not as a star player. At number 25, we have Ja Morant of the Memphis Grizzlies. Morant, only in his second year in the league, is considered by many to be an upcoming superstar in the league. Last year, Morant and the Grizzlies were really close to making it to the playoffs, but lost in the play-in game. This year, the Grizzlies once again made it to the play-in tournament and managed to beat the Spurs and the Warriors both to take the 8th seed. They sadly departed from the playoffs just a week ago after losing to the Jazz in 5 games. He played really well in that series and averaged 30 points as well through the span of 5 games. To go along with that, he put up averages of 8 assists and 5 rebounds in the series. In the regular season, however, his stats were similar to his rookie year last year, where he put up 18 points and 7 assists on 50% shooting from the field. At number 24, we have DeMar DeRozan of the San Antonio Spurs. DeRozan has been a solid all-star caliber player throughout his career, but never really a star-type player. His best season came with the Raptors in 2016-17, where he averaged 27 points per game through the span of 74 games. This season, DeMar and the Spurs just missed the chance to play in the playoffs by losing in the play-in tournament versus the Grizzlies. Although he didn't make the All-Star team this season, he definitely deserved to. Putting up averages of 21 points and 7 assists on 50% shooting from the field, he got snubbed from the All-Star team. I think the NBA should name unlimited amounts of players as All-Stars, but only let 30 of them play, 15 from each team. Because players who deserve to get named to the All-Star team just don't because there aren't enough spots left. We might never see this change come, but it surely needs to happen. Number 23 on the list is Collin Sexton of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Sexton is in his third season and averaging 24 points per game on nearly 50% shooting from the field and 40% shooting from three. He has improved every year he's been in the NBA, from 16 points per game in his rookie season to 20 points per game in his second, and now this season, 24 points. The main reason he went underrated this season is because he's playing for a bad, small market team in Cleveland, and the only time Cleveland was relevant was with LeBron James when they won their first ever NBA championship in 2016. I personally see Sexton as an all-star caliber player, and if he can get to a better team, he will surely shine there. Next up, we have number 22, and that is Domantas Sabonis of the Indiana Pacers. Sabonis, like Sexton, has improved every season of his career. In his rookie season with the Thunder, Sabonis averaged just 6 points per game. This season, he has elevated his game to over 20 points per game and 12 rebounds, along with about 7 assists. He's a really good passer, especially for a big man. For reference, he's averaging more assists than Steph Curry and Kyrie Irving both. He was another player that definitely deserved to make the All-Star team this season, but didn't. Like I said earlier, the NBA really needs to implement an All-Star format where many NBA players get named to the All-Star team, but not all of them have to play. Now we move on to the players who are rising stars. So at number 21, we have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander of the OKC Thunder. The Thunder this season were a really bad team, which was definitely expected after the departure of Chris Paul in the offseason. Their best player of the season was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who averaged really good numbers for a third-year player. Although he only played in 35 games this season due to an injury, he showed he can sustain his high level of basketball play for a full 70 to 80 games, putting up averages of nearly 24 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists on 50% shooting from the field and 40% shooting from three. He has clearly made a name for himself as a young and rising star in this league. Number 20 on the list is Julius Randle of the New York Knicks. The Knicks this season took home 2 awards, Coach of the Year by Tom Thibodeau and Most Improved Player by none other than Julius Randle. Randle was considered a ball hog in all of his seasons in his young NBA career, but this season he has averaged 6 assists. Along with that, he averaged 24 points and 10 rebounds and 41% shooting from 3. Although he was not able to perform in the playoffs this season with the Knicks, he will get another opportunity next season with the way him, RJ Barrett, and Emmanuel Quickley are developing early on in their careers. At number 19, we got Devin Booker. Now, I know many of you expected him to be much higher on this list, but keep in mind that this is solely on the individual performances this regular season. This year is the first where Booker made it to the playoffs, and the credit should go to him and CP3 both. The Suns went from not making the playoffs for the past 8 seasons to being the second best team in the packed Western Conference. This is because of the high basketball IQ from Chris Paul and him just being a really good floor raiser, and also due to the stepping up of Devin Booker big time. For the season, Booker is averaging a team best 25.5 points per game on 48% shooting from the field. In the playoffs, however, he has stepped up his game much higher and is averaging 28 points per game on just above 50% shooting from the field. Along with normal scoring, he's a really clutch scorer as well, hitting multiple dagger shots in the first round of the playoffs and also in the bubble last season. Number 18 is Zion Williamson of the New Orleans Pelicans. In just his second NBA season, Zion is being ranked this high not just by me, but by many others as well. Last season, he missed time due to a knee injury, but this season he only missed 11 games and scored 27 points per game on 61% shooting. This is one of the highest amounts somebody has ever scored in just a second season. The Pelicans just missed the play-in tournament this season, most probably because of the 11 games Zion missed, and if he played maybe even 5 more games, they might have made it to the play-in and possibly even to the playoffs. The downside of Zion is that he's a highly explosive player, but a bit overweight. His vertical jump is one of the highest in the league, but the extra unwanted weight might cause many injuries later on throughout his career. The last player in the rising star category, who will definitely be higher than this when the playoffs end, because in these playoffs he's playing outstanding, is Donovan Mitchell of the Utah Jazz. Being the best player on the best team in the NBA, Mitchell does not get the respect he deserves. Many media analysts have doubted him and downed him, including Shaq himself, but he has proven them wrong this postseason, and the Jazz are currently up 2-0 against the Clippers in the second round of the playoffs. Although the Clippers came back from a 2-0 deficit in round 1, this time it's going to be harder because in the first 2 games, Mitchell recorded 45 points and then 37 points. He has single-handedly carried the Jazz to the first 2 wins and looks to do so in the next game versus the Clippers as well. For the regular season, though, he averaged an efficient 26 points per game, and like I said earlier, helped the Jazz beat the best team in the NBA. Next up, we have players who had that superstar blood in them this regular season. So first off, at number 16, we have Jimmy Butler. Although Butler and the Heat did not play well in the playoffs this season, this video is still about the regular season where Jimmy Butler turned into Jimmy Buckets and averaged 21.5 points per outing, along with 7 rebounds and 7 assists. He did this on barely any 3-point attempts per game and 50% shooting from the field. It looked like he was in the bubble again. Well, once the playoffs came, he left the bubble, and the Heat were crowned with the embarrassing title of Bubble Guppies because they made it to the finals last year. So all the hard work Butler did this regular season was lost in a matter of 4 games. But there's always next season. Although Butler will turn 32 next year, it still looks like he has a lot left in the tank, especially how he continued his great level play of basketball even after a short 72-day offseason break. Number 15 is Karl-Anthony Towns. Towns this season only appeared in 50 games but still averaged a team-high 25 points and 10 rebounds on damn near 50-40-90 splits as a center. If he had played more games, I wouldn't doubt him making the All-Star team and possibly even an All-NBA team. His season really went underrated because he missed tons of time, and Anthony Edwards, the number 1 pick in last year's draft, started balling out after the All-Star break. People forget that Karl-Anthony Towns is a top 20 player, at least when healthy, because he just hasn't been healthy in a while. The Timberwolves were also one of the worst teams in the NBA due to many injuries, which also had a lot to do with Cat's season going underrated. Just think about next year when he will most likely be fully healthy and D'Lo and Anthony Edwards will gain more chemistry. They're going to be scary in my opinion, and it was showing towards the end of the season when he started to win a lot more games. Number 14 on the list is a player who not only had a breakout type year this season, but also made the All-Star team for the first time in his career. And that's Zach LaVine. LaVine played really well in the beginning of the season, where he put up 40 points in almost every other game, and he even came close to a few 50-point games, but slowly, as the season progressed, his scoring took a bit of a dip, and instead of 30 points per game, he started averaging around 25. Now, 25 points per game is still really good, but when we saw him playing with the superstar blood in him towards the beginning of the season, he resembled a bit of Klay Thompson with his catch-and-shoot ability and the moments when he started getting streaky and would start to hit almost every single shot he attempted. He also missed much time towards the end of the season due to COVID-19 protocols, and only if he had played in those games, the Bulls just might have been in the playoffs. At number 13, we have the triple-double machine himself, Russell Westbrook. Westbrook started off the season slow, and so did the Wizards. But day by day and game by game, he began to play like a superstar that he was just a year ago with the Rockets. He began posting triple-double after triple-double, and the Wizards started to win many games. At one point in the season, the Wizards went on an 8-game winning streak, beating teams like the Blazers, Warriors, and a healthy Lakers squad before the LeBron injury. It looked like a team nobody wanted to place in the playoffs, if they were to get there. Luckily for Westbrook, the Wizards did make it to the playoffs by winning in the play-in tournament and would go up against a big rival of them, Joel Embiid. Westbrook's miraculous season came to an unfortunate end, and the Wizards lost the series in 5 games and departed from the playoffs. Number 12 is a player who you might be surprised by, and that's DeAaron Fox of the Sacramento Kings. The Kings are a team that only Kings fans watch, and that's why if you're not a Kings fan, you might not know about Fox's phenomenal play this season. Fox this season has averaged 25 points and 7 assists per contest, and also was really efficient while doing so. The Kings could not make it to the play-in tournament, but were only 2 games away from it. During the season, Fox had a stretch where he would score almost 30 points in every game, which was during the month of March and a bit throughout April as well. He has established himself as a star player and has that superstar blood in him, which is necessary to be a superstar in this league, especially this season. And don't be surprised when you see him being one of the best players in the league in the next 5 years when players like LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and James Harden retire. If you have reached this point of the video, then please drop a like right now to show that you have watched the video throughout. Thank you. Now we have reached the top performers of the 2020-2021 NBA season. From here on out, there's going to be a lot of disagreements, which is absolutely fine because this is our own respected opinion and also based on the stats and everything into context. So at number 11, we have Kawhi Leonard. I repeat again, this is only regular season, not the playoffs, and in the playoffs, Kawhi has been nothing but phenomenal. In the regular season, though, his numbers and performance overall wasn't as good, and this is also a sign of a superstar player. When you're good in the regular season, but way better in the playoffs. In 52 games played, Leonard averaged 25 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. He also did this on 50, 39, and 88 splits. Just to be kind, we'll give him the 50, 40, 90 performance. The only reason I don't have him much higher is because when you see the players higher than him, you will be able to tell that they played better than Kawhi throughout the course of the season. Next up at number 10, we have LeBron James of the LA Lakers. LeBron only appeared in 51 games this year, including the playoffs, which is extremely odd since he plays more games than that in the regular season alone. This year also was the first time LeBron lost in the first round of the playoffs in his 18-year NBA career. And to go along with that, LeBron was never the same, at least in my opinion, after the ankle injury he suffered in March versus the Hawks. In an interview, LeBron said that, quote-unquote, "I knew I wasn't going to get back to 100%. It's impossible. I don't think I'll ever get back to 100% in my career." Well, if this is the case, then LeBron's career will only go down from now on, and we will see the demise of an absolute enlightened NBA career by none other than the King. Getting back to good stuff rather than sad, LeBron did play really good in the games he played, and that's why he's still a top 10 performer of the season. He's still able to dunk ridiculously at the age of 37 and has his head above the rim most of the plays. And he also has excellent court vision along with a much developed shooting touch around the three-point line. He's transitioning his game slowly but surely to more of an offense-only three-point/mid-range game to be sustainable for the long term. It's crucial for him to do this because he has said many times that he wants to play with his son Bronny James in his career, whether that means he has to play till the age of 40 or more. Number 9 is Jayson Tatum. Tatum erupted for two 50-point games this regular season, which included a 60-point outburst versus the Spurs. In the playoffs, he had one 50-point game, which was in Game 3 versus the Nets, which was also the only win for the Celtics in the series. He's one of the best scorers in the NBA right now, period. I made a video on him like 1 month ago, talking about the similarity between him and Kobe, and even their mentalities are same. Obviously, I'm talking about the Mamba mentality. If you haven't checked that out, then be sure to do this after the video, and because it's a pretty dope video as well, and I hope you'll enjoy it. But Tatum, man, this kid is gonna be special. He already is, but he's a talented scorer. In his 4th season, he has lots of room and time to grow further. The duo of him, Jaylen Brown, would have gone further in the playoffs if Brown was healthy, and if they didn't have to face the Nets in the first round, who are literally stacked with 3 of the best scorers in the NBA. Tatum is a pretty underrated defender as well. He's lanky like KD and also very quick as well. This combination, along with his defensive IQ, results in great perimeter defense, but for some reason, he doesn't do much of it. He doesn't defend a lot. If he were to try more on defense, he would easily be a top perimeter defender in the league alongside Ben Simmons, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. For comparison, he's basically a Kobe Bryant, but a bit taller and with better handles. Kobe's footwork could not be matched, maybe by MJ or Carmelo Anthony, but everything else between Kobe and Jayson Tatum is creepily identical. Number 8 on the list is Trey Young. Young transitioned from being one of the most liked NBA players in his rookie season to one of the most hated this season. The reason? Attitude. He developed a kind of an ego, which is common at his age, especially when you're one of the best basketball players in the world earning millions of dollars. It happens to anyone and everyone. But people really like hating on this young talent, especially Knicks fans after what he did to them in the first round of the playoffs. Another reason that caused him to become so hated is his dirty/irritating play style. He's always drawing fouls by bumping into other players, similar to how Harden had done for the past 5 years. Harden actually got a lot of hate for this as well, but now in Brooklyn he's kind of stopped the bumping since he's taken on more of a playmaking role. Trey himself is a really good playmaker, similar to Harden, and averaged 9.5 assists in the regular season this year, which I know for sure many of you might be surprised with. He has shooters around him to pass to and Clint Capella to throw lobs to. His deep range scoring ability is also elite, similar to the way of Steph Curry's, but just the hate that he gets nowadays is causing him to become really underrated. I personally want to see him stop playing dirty on offense and defense, and because I think he has one of the highest ceilings in the NBA right now, and we can see that in the playoffs this year. Just hear me out. In his first ever playoff game, man's hit a game winner and ended the game with a double-double of 32 points and 10 assists. He also helped the Hawks win Game 1 against the Sixers in the second round with a healthy Joel Embiid who dropped 39 points. His stats for the season are 25 points, 9.5 rebounds on 54, 34, and 88 shooting splits. At number 7, we have Damian Lillard. I honestly don't have much to say here. Just like how I feel bad for Curry, I feel bad for Lillard. They're both stuck in horrible positions since they have said that they want to fully commit to their respective teams for the rest of their career. Dame's situation is worse, however, since Curry already has returning Klay Thompson, who I know might not be fully healthy, but Dame has CJ and, well, nobody else. You can say Powell, but Blazers need defense, not more offense. But like I said before, I honestly don't know what to say about Dame. One of the best clutch players in the league, one of the best shooters in the league, one of the best players in the league. But it's good that he's loyal on a team that drafted him, and it isn't common in today's NBA. You see You see Russell Westbrook switching teams, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, who else? James Harden. All these players are always switching teams. But he and Steph Curry, they're really loyal. I don't know if I'm missing anyone else. I think Vucevic was with the Magic for like the past 9 years before he got traded to the Chicago Bulls. So like these players, man, props to you, especially for doing this in today's NBA where players just want to win a ring. They don't care about the team that drafted them. For the season, Lillard is averaging 29 points and 7.5 assists and helping his team win games by hitting game winner after game winner. It's to the point where you see him shoot with like 3 seconds left in the game and there's like 3 defenders on him. You know it's going in rather than going out. For any other player in the league besides him and Steph, I know I'm talking about Steph a lot because these two players are just so identical. When you see him and Steph shoot these shots with like 3 seconds, 5 seconds left, 1 second left, and there's like always 2 to 3 defenders on them every single possession, it's just their gravity that attracts so many defenders even without the ball. You know their shot is still going in rather than going out because that's just how great of the shooters they are. They're one of the best shooters in the NBA right now. Lillard, I don't think is top 5 at least of all time, but he's at least top 10 of all time as a shooter. Obviously, we have Steph Curry's returning teammate Klay Thompson being in that category as well. Number 6 is Giannis screw his last name because it's going to take me like 3 hours trying to figure that out. But yeah, that 7-foot guy with like a 10-foot wingspan, yeah, he's number 6. Giannis' play this season is a bit dipped, not by much, but slightly dipped from his previous 2 MVP seasons. That's why he's only number 6 on the list. But number 6 obviously is still a really good ranking, especially when you take into account the fact that there's like 350 players in the NBA and you're the 6th best player. I know this video is not about the best players in the NBA, it's about the best player from each team, but number 6 still is a really good ranking. He's playing exceptional this season. He led a Milwaukee team with decent NBA players besides from Chris Middleton and Jrue Holiday to the playoffs as the 3 seed and beat the team that went to the finals last year in 4 games. Obviously, I'm talking about the Miami Heat. For the season, Giannis averaged 28 points and 11 rebounds on 57% shooting from the field. He might not be the MVP he was, but he still is Giannis. Why am I even trying to say his last name, bro? You get what I'm saying. He's still Giannis. At number 5, we have Luka Doncic. So Luka this season had a really underrated season, in my opinion, and I also think that he's a top 5 MVP candidate for the following 2 reasons. 1, his team was a 5th seed, and that too in a packed Western Conference, which was really impressive when you also look at his teammates, which are basically nobodies. Props to Tim Hardaway Jr., though, for playing really well in the playoffs. Number 2, his stats are really good and nobody's talking about it. He averaged 27.5 points, 8 rebounds, 8.5 assists this season. The points per game and assists per game are better than Jokic, but Jokic is more efficient and grabbed more boards, which is exactly why I got Luka in my top 5, not the MVP of the season. The MVP title solely belongs to Nikola Jokic. The most impressive thing about Luka is that he's carried, and by carried I mean big time carried, this trash roster to the playoffs as one of the best teams in the West at the age of 22. Although they did end up losing in 7 games to the Clippers. Now, since we are talking about the playoffs, let's talk about his performance in the playoffs. He averaged 35.7 points, 8 rebounds, and 10 assists. And it ain't done yet. He also did this on 40% shooting from 3 and 49% shooting overall. The only bad thing about the playoffs for Luka this year was his free throw percentage, which it hurts to say this, but it was only at 53%. Clearly, he's going to be higher than this when the stars of this generation retire in the next 5 to 10 years because he's already doing so much at this young of an age. Number 4 on the list is James Harden. This one is going to be a hot take for sure. Many of y'all got KD or maybe even Kyrie over Harden, but I took into account of everything Harden brings to the table, not just scoring. I'm not saying that Harden was the best player on the Nets this year. I'm saying that in the regular season, James Harden was playing at the highest level for the Nets, higher than KD, higher than Kyrie. Durant is the better scorer by far this year, but that's because of Harden's sacrifice. Harden changed his position this year to help the team win, and now he's a point guard instead of a shooting guard. He was a shooting guard with the Rockets most of the years because CP3 was a point guard for like 2 years and then Westbrook last year. So all he had to do was score. And that's why he led the league in scoring on multiple occasions with the Rockets. This year with the Nets, however, he has taken on a playmaking role because he's the best on the Nets that can play make. I know Kyrie Irving is a really good passer because he's going to throw dimes, he's going to throw like no-look passes, which looks cool, but he's not averaging as many assists as Harden, and his passes are only looking cool. They're not really good he's not a really good playmaker, and obviously so is Durant. He's not a great playmaker as well. Not to say that while averaging 11 assists, Harden was still scoring and ended the season on an average of 24.5 points per game, which that to itself is really impressive. In the playoffs, we couldn't get to see much of Harden because the Celtics series was really short, and the Bucks series, he got injured in the first game, or you can say the first minute of the series, which was a huge hit for the Nets. Never mind the fact that Kyrie is probably out for the Bucks series now as well, and if the Nets don't even get past the Bucks, this season is going to be a huge bust for them. But James Harden, the number 4 player on this list. Now we reach the top 3 players of the 2021 NBA regular season, and let's get going to number 3, who is Joel Embiid of the Philadelphia 76ers. Embiid was the frontrunner for the MVP award before he got injured, but his injury caused him to miss around 2 weeks of action, which therefore cost him the MVP award. He led a subpar Sixers team to the best record in the East, ahead of the Nets and Bucks, and also was averaging crazy numbers before the injury. In his first few weeks of the season, we expected him to average like 40 plus points per game, but slowly he started going down to 30 points per game, and the numbers went down. He still finished in the top 5 for points per game with an average of 28.5. Throughout his whole career, especially towards the beginning of it, the injury bug always caught on to him, which also caused him to miss his rookie season and a big portion of his sophomore season. Luckily, he recovered quick from the injury this year, but another injury snatched him in the playoffs versus the Wizards. He had a tiny meniscus tear, which got treated really quickly, and he was able to play in Game 1 versus the Hawks and dropped 39 points, but the Sixers lost the close game there. Players like these are the players whose careers get defined by injuries. They also cause a lot of what-ifs. What if Embiid played in his rookie year? What if Greg Oden never got injured? What if KD didn't get injured in the finals and Curry would have 4 rings and Kevin Durant would have 3 rings? Hopefully he can revive the center position and their popularity once again, because the NBA transitioned into a point guard league, and point guards are players who teams usually build around nowadays, so we all better trust the process. At number 2, we have Stephen Curry. Curry is easily and rightfully considered the best shooter of all time, but that's causing him to become really underrated nowadays. People just talk about shooting when talking about Curry, but his game goes further than that. He's a really good playmaker, which goes under the radar a lot of the times, and his finishing around the rim ability is similar to Kyrie. The most impactful thing about Curry is not his shooting, it's his gravity. He's a player who you will see getting double and triple teamed on every single possession, and even gets double teamed without the ball. He's 13th in the NBA for the season in miles covered per game, which is because there's players who play more than him, that's why they're ranked higher. Physically, he's in the best shape of his career, and you'll mostly never see him stop running, even if he's playing 40 to 45 minutes per game. His strength and stamina is extraordinary for his height and size, and he's even crossing people up without the ball. MJ2K21 said it perfectly.
It's because Curry is crossing people up without the ball. But
So as you just saw there, that's Steph Curry. Defenses always try to strategize against him, and he's the only focus for the opposite team to stop, but he still managed to score a career best 32 points per game this season. It would have been so much fun for all the NBA fans to see him play in the postseason, but it is what it is. And the best player in the NBA this season is Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets. Jokic helped the Nuggets secure the 3rd seed in the West without Jamal Murray for the last 18 games of the season. The Nuggets went 14-4 in that stretch. The Nuggets' success this year was only because of the MVP Jokic. Jokic put up crazy numbers and averaged a near triple-double, 26 points, 11 rebounds, and 8 assists, while being a center. He was really efficient as well, putting up near 50%, 40%, and 90% numbers, again, as a center. He's considered one of the most skilled big men of all time by many already in his short 6-year NBA career thus far. In the playoffs, he helped beat a really competitive Blazers team with Lillard balling in all the games in only 6 games. But as things stand, the Nuggets get eliminated in a 4-0 sweep by Chris Paul and the Phoenix Suns. It would have been a great storyline to see a big man win an MVP award in such a long time and go on to win the finals, but his season had officially come to an end last night. If you're a Nuggets fan, don't be discouraged. Have faith in Jokic playing like this next season as well. And you all know that with a healthy Jamal Murray, you could have gone to the finals this year and expect Murray to miss the first few games of the season for the Nuggets, but I know for sure he will come back strong. And as for Nikola Jokic, he's gonna get even better from now on because he has just entered his prime and playing like he's on a mission. That's it for today's video, guys. It was a really long one, but I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, then please drop a like. And if you made it to this point of the video, unless you skipped ahead obviously, then thank you so much for watching, and until next time, peace out.